What the hell?
What's up?
And he's back. And we're back.
Cool. My bad about that.
No problem. So why don't you sit that on this side for other... there we go.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. Let's lay it down softly. Yeah.
Good.
Jesus. My God. All right. I'm TJ.
I am Kamari Ross.
This is a Tampa Film Podcast, and it is a lovely Friday, December the 7th, 2018. What we're talking about today is the possibility of making movies on your phone. Mm-hmm. And right before he left, he was in the middle of saying something about he finds it easier.
Oh, right.
So let's talk about to the extent that we've explored this topic.
Yeah, I actually want to have an open discussion about that. So one thing I thought of was, I actually thought, like, how did I even get into filmmaking, or how did I get into just even using a camera? And it was actually through my phone. I think most people that were maybe a little bit older, they started with an actual film camera, mm-hmm. But now most people today start with their phone.
Videotape, you mean?
Yeah, filmmaking. Gotcha. Filmmaking. So
different things, but okay.
Different things. But let's just say that having the ability to capture images, whether that be still or in motion.
Right.
It started back. It was in film. Now it's people can do it with their phones.
Exactly.
It's definitely a cheaper option. You may not enjoy it. You may just like to take selfies all the time.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about filmmaking. So the point I'm trying to make is, when I first got into photography, videography, and also making videos, it was through my phone originally. And one thing I discovered is phones today have a lot of the, not all of it, but a lot of the technical abilities that the camera has. I say just the basic stuff you would need. I'm talking about very, very, very basic. And I mean ISO, shutter speed, and there's some other things I need to look at my phone at. But the reason I want to talk about this is because like someone like me there's a lot, like for instance, I like to shoot events. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of events coming up. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do some events with the phone, and some events with the actual camera.
Mm. So which phone would you be?
I'm using, it's old now, but when I bought it was new. The S7, Samsung S7.
Great camera.
They have the S9. And I remember the first time I was taking pictures.
Are we on 10 now?
Yeah, I think 9. No, it's on 9. Is it 10 or 9?
I think it might be 10.
We're on 10. Oh God,
it might be. You know what? 9. Let's go 9. 9 seems safe.
I think it's 9. But one thing was pretty cool. Which camera? Does it matter which camera? Is there a way I can plug this in?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll have that figured out next time. But
okay.
You can show it to the camera if you want to.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, that one. The
one
in the middle.
Are we good to go?
We're solid.
Awesome.
You might want to show it closer though.
Is that good?
Yep.
Okay. So you see the camera right now, right? When you automatically turn your camera on, it's going to be in auto mode. Same thing with the digital camera.
All right.
But if you, let me make sure this is correct. Okay. But if you swipe it, like, make sure I'm doing this right, like this, you have options there. You have like panorama, select focus, slow motion, different things. But in the right next to auto is pro.
Right.
And I remember when I was like, what is pro? And so if you click on it, you'll see I'll show you on the right-hand side, they have ISO, shutter speed. They even have, I guess you say, different filters you want to use. And they have the ability to do manual focus on here as well. You can do is white balance, the metering matrix, and flash. So those are the many things you can do. I'll show the screen. Those are the many things that you can use on your phone. And I was actually I was like, this ain't real. This is not real. It's impossible. So what it is, I did a common trick. Most people, if they know the basic shutter speed is at night, you turn it all the way down to maybe like, 1/6 of a second or something lower, and you do like a little light artwork. You do like a smiley face, something like that, and it worked.
Right.
And it worked. So, if knowing this, you could. What you need, of course, you need a lens though. Well, you could create, I could think, maybe a short film with it, with your smartphone.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, there's some things like like the megapixels and the detail and some of the richness won't be there as you have with a camera, because the camera is not the main function of a phone, but it's something, I guess, to start off with and to kind of create your own storytelling.
Correct. Although I think a lot of young people would argue that is the main function of your phone. What are you talking about, dude? Camera is the main function. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook Live.
The phone can also manage your finances, your bank accounts.
You want to
social
get to
networking.
All that for? What are you trying to do
checks.
to us, dude? You're one of those people who actually uses your phone as a phone.
I use my phone as a multi-purpose device.
That's what we say we use it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess there's pros to shooting something on your phone, and there's cons. The pros would easily be, I think most people would find it easy.
Ease of use.
Yeah, ease of use and just the ability to do it right now, not really have a whole lot of technical knowledge because they've got the auto mode for you that can just dial in. Maybe you just pick a style. Maybe you pick daytime or nighttime shooting or whatever. And I think that's appealing to a lot of people. It was appealing to me when I was younger. I was one of those people who bought a VHS videotape to shoot on from the pawn shop.
Oh, snap.
That's right, old school.
You are old school.
Mind you, this was early 2000s. And but what I was looking for next was to go digital. Because it's like, man, it's such a process getting this stuff.
So you were there. Okay, so I don't know. I've never shot with VHS. I watched VHS like the Rugrats, but I never shot VHS.
Well, it was like the mini tapes, the mini DVD tapes, and then you could transfer it to VHS if you knew someone or paid. But yeah, it was on tape, and it was. But basically, the ability to create a file, just a digital file, is what was what I was seeking. So I was like, I went to Walgreens one day and I saw like this little $100 thing. I was like, oh, that doesn't look like it's big enough to put a tape in. Interesting. That means I can save to a CF card. What's that? And I was figuring out like, okay, well, these are basically thumb drives that go into the camera. It's like, wow, this could put me a step up. So I saved my money and bought one of those. And like a lot of people, it's a process of you kind of learn by buying a product, trying it out, seeing what all the limitations are, and then you look for something that has better specs.
Right.
And so I went that same route, but the pattern was trying to get equipment that made things simpler, faster, easier. And then I found out to be a professional, you need more control. So there are your consumer products, there are your prosumer products, and then your professional products. So I wanted more of the prosumer to professional stuff. Today, I think it's pretty much the same thing. I think a lot of people would try filmmaking or they would do making videos and things like that if only they knew how. Well, now on your phone, it's like, you want to make a video? And it's like you're in the app store or the Google Play Store, and it's like a video making app. It's like, oh, is this what they use on Vine? Or are these what those people who are posting those videos on Instagram are using? And then they try it, and it's like, oh, okay. So all I need to do is make sure it's lit properly, press record, be funny, and stop it. And then now it's like everyone's a photographer. Now that they got a camera on their phone. Everyone's going to be a filmmaker soon, too, because everyone thinks their life is like a movie, and everyone just thinks, just put the camera on me, watch me all day. So I think that filmmaking on your phones is going to be the future. Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Everything
you
gets...
you can get a lot of hate mail from that.
Well, it's going to be ignorant. Everything gets smaller, more efficient, better. The cameras have gotten smaller, more efficient,
agree.
better.
Mm-hmm.
Those DSLRs may be like the old cameras of today, because now it's mirrorless and everything. But at the time when they came through, it's like, I can shoot high def on this right here. That's a photography camera. Like, no, it does video too. It shoots in full HD. They shot an episode of House on a Canon 5D Mark II. So it's like, of course, you're going to be able to shoot stuff on your phone too, because the cameras are getting better and better. They've got image stabilization. They've got controls that you would find on these cameras on your phone. ISO, shutter speed, your frame rate, your whatever else that you want to adjust. All that's going to be accessible on your phone. And it says Pro mode, doesn't it?
True, but I heard that's going more towards computational photography.
Computational photography, meaning it's going to basically ask you, what do you want to see? And then it does its algorithms and things, and it makes your picture, which would otherwise be incorrect, look a whole lot better.
Yes, something like that. Or, for instance,
I call that photography. It's just got better it's just got better computer than your camera does. So your camera does the same thing.
No, I agree with you. And I think when that adds to the phones, there's going to be a major disruption in the camera industry. Because what that means, like, for instance, if a computer can give you the same bokeh as a $1,000 lens, why would you need a $1,000 lens when you can just do it on the computer?
Well, it's not just the computer doing it, it's the lens too. They're putting better and better lens equipments in cameras too. It's not just the algorithm. You know, you can only digitize and emulate or imitate certain camera functions to an extent, right? Because we all know the difference between analog versus digital with audio. We all know the difference between digital zoom and real actual zoom, right? So what's happening is the cameras are actually getting better and better, and they're getting smaller, and you can put them inside of a phone. And then on top of that, they've got better and better algorithms. So you can do a lot more with Galaxy S7 or S9 today than you could have done with the most cutting-edge technology phone of 5 years ago. You know, you could even do more with a camera phone now than you could with like a high-end video camera 10 years ago. If you know how to use it, if you know lighting, if you know the same principles and things that we use in filmmaking. So a lot of more people are going to be trying it. I don't think it's going to disrupt the film industry, but definitely the camera industry.
The camera industry, yes.
But I think the camera industry is the same. It's just basically becoming more. Every business is becoming more IT oriented, and you know, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, one of the camera companies owns part of one of either the R&D department of the camera part of a tech not a telecom, but let me think about that and then say it in an intelligent way.
What do they do?
But what I'm getting at is basically like the people who are in the old businesses buy part of the new businesses.
Oh, that makes sense.
The people,
trying to redo it there.
Yeah. Why?
That happens all the time. Because I know most of the bigger companies usually buy smaller startups that got something.
That's way more efficient.
Yeah.
It's better. It makes sense. You've got billions and billions of dollars in your corporate treasury. Why not just buy a smaller company and implement their technology?
That's true.
It's terrible for competition.
That's true.
But it makes sense if you're a big business.
That happened with Zappos and Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Zappos is.
What is Zappos?
It's
exactly right. Exactly.
It's a major shoe company.
It's a shroom company.
Shoe company. Major shoe company.
You mean Zapatos?
No, I thought it was Zapatos. I thought it was Zappos.
It might be, but I think Spanish Zapatos is the Spanish word for shoe.
Oh, that makes more sense.
This is probably where they got their name.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. I listened to an audiobook about the company, and they were basically almost dead broke, and the owner was living in the corporate building, and then eventually Amazon bought them because they finally got their sales up, and I guess everything kind of flowed after that. But I agree with you. I think it was their customer service and their process. That's what they were known for. They had the best customer service. Even if you look online right now, they have like a 4.9 rating, which is insane. If you know how quick people are to dismiss companies. But back to the original discussion. Where do we go?
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
Now, cons would be obviously you don't have all the controls that you do on dedicated cameras yet. If you need to change a lens, you can't do that with a phone.
I think because if they're able to increase the quality of the lens, I think it could be a minor.
Well, yeah, eventually. But
yes.
right now you can't switch out the lens on your phone.
You can't switch out they have like cases and stuff you can do that for, but the quality of the lens I don't think is not, because I've tried them. I have a couple lenses. I have a zoom lens. The wide angle and the fisheye lenses are good.
All right.
But when it comes to zoom or
and
like
he's talking. You're talking about attachments.
Sorry, attachments. Yes,
right.
I'm talking about. I didn't
not
bring
actually changing the lens, but you are putting a lens in front of your lens, which is a partial next best thing solution.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, I see what you mean because technically the phone lens is
that's the lens.
It's a wide angle. Is it a wide angle? It's either wide angle or a fisheye because there's some distortion when you get close to objects. I think it's a wide angle lens.
It depends on the camera.
Yeah. But
depends on the phone.
But most phones have that.
Some have wide, some have more just regular.
You do? Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Some have both.
Look at you. Can you give me some examples?
Oh,
sure.
Well, I definitely can't give you an example with my phone. Mine is a Galaxy Core Prime. I've got one camera. And, so like, for example, the iPhone 8, when it came out, the Plus, had 2 cameras on it. This is the first time they ever.
Oh.
The Axon 9 has 2. Mm-hmm. Who was the first?
What does each camera does? Is like a...
Well, there's no. It's not like you get an extra function. You just have the benefit of having either the wide angle or the regular.
And it's on the same.
They can switch.
So there's 2. So basically, there's 2 cameras.
Yeah, they're right next to each other. So they can. So the computer can switch between the 2.
Okay,
if you select it. But there's really no benefit or difference, just other than what you would normally get between a wide versus a regular angle lens. So the lens quality, not being able to change out lenses would be a con. Not having the full professional control over your equipment would be a con.
I like how you mentioned that the higher you go, the more experience you go, usually the more professional levels, they have more control over what they're working with. I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. Because I was wondering why for filmmaking, why do you have all this stuff? And I thought so you can control the entire scene. I follow a Instagram group called Filmmaking. I think it's called #Filmmakers. And sometimes they'll post pictures of the backgrounds of like famous movies. So they showed Titanic one time, and there's a restaurant scene. I forgot the lead actress role, but she was talking to someone. I'm like, I don't think anything of it, but when you actually see how many people are around that table trying to make that lighting the way it is, there was
tons and tons of people.
Yeah, two giant diffusers. I think there was 2 cameras facing her. Of course, the boom mic, everything, the lighting. There was like at least 10 to 15 people for that one scene.
Sorry for this typing sound. It's because the vibration is right next to the thing.
But I thought that was interesting. But as for the mobile filmmaking, I think it's good because I'm still learning the basics. I'm a photographer by profession, filmmaker. I'll admit I'm still a learner. We're all lifelong learners, but I'm still, I'd say, definitely a beginner when it comes to that.
Well, you know what photography means? The actual word.
Some of the Latin roots.
Yeah.
No.
It means writing with light.
Oh.
And cinematography means writing with
Motion?
Yes, there you go. Because a motion picture is motion pictures.
You really learn a lot into this.
It basically just means that what makes photography work is light and control of lighting.
Mm-hmm.
What makes cinematography work is not just control of lighting, but control of motion, control of what's moving versus not moving, what's included versus not included. When it comes to filmmaking, you've got to make so many little adjustments to things, like the way that the light will hit one object in a shot, but not touch another object in a shot, because you want to emphasize a certain object in a shot. You want to be able to adjust that. Just like that in real life, though, you want to be able to go on your camera and be able to adjust or expose for how you want the camera to receive the light. Maybe you want to overexpose the lens or get the maximum sensitivity out of the sensor. But what you're going to do to balance that out is block off a lot of this light in real time, in real space. So you're going to be blocking it off to where it should be really dark, but you've got the maximum sensitivity. The end result is you get right in the middle of what you want. So by overexposing the sensitivity of the sensor or whatever, you're getting the sensitivity that you're going to need, and you need to just block off all this light, and you do that, and then in the middle where your scene is being shot, it'll come through the way that you envision it. Because there are trade-offs with all of these settings, like we discussed. When you crank up your shutter speed, it's going to affect your motion blur. You're either going to have more blur or less blur, and it's going to affect your exposure. When you mess with your ISO, that's going to affect your exposure, whether it's brighter or darker too, but it's going to mess with how grainy the quality of your picture is. Because the more sensitive the sensor is, yeah, it's going to pick up more light, but it's going to look more grainy. When it comes to aperture, that would be the other thing, the iris in front of the lens that opens and lets more light in, that also affects lighting. All of these things affect lighting. But the trade-off with that would be when it comes to bokeh, you know, how much depth of field you have to where something is blurred out in the background or the foreground. The more light you have versus the less light you have, it will affect that too. So you need all these controls as a professional. You need to understand the limitations of technology. And what the phones are doing is attempting to copy that digitally in some way to give you a familiar feeling. Really, the only people who will be able to successfully or to do this to the best of the ability of the phone are the people who understand the principles behind ISO. Because people who are just flicking knobs on their phone who've never done it before, they're like, oh, it gets brighter when I do this. But they notice it also gets brighter and darker when they adjust their shutter speed. And then also their aperture. So it's like, what's the difference? Why do I adjust lighting with all three of these things? Only people who have had the cameras would know what it's actually doing. They might not notice the blur in their shots now, but they'll notice it during editing. They may not notice why it's so hard to get a blurred out background with their depth of field when they have their aperture so small, but they know later they'll figure it out. But people who understand those functions will have a advantage and will be able to fully use the phone to its abilities. So it's probably best to get one of the absolute newest phones that have the most options that you can. Because I could do it with this Galaxy Core Prime, but I don't want to. It would be a pain. We're talking about minimal control options.
Well, let's see. Let's look at your camera. What do you have?
So this here will shoot HD.
Okay.
I believe it's full HD, but let me pull that up.
Full HD. Okay, here we go.
And as far as like the photography part of it, it will do 5 megapixels.
Oh, you have Pro.
So it has Pro.
You do. Let's
All
see
right.
what it has. Oh, you have white balance, ISO. That's about it.
Probably doesn't have shutter speed or aperture. So
No, it just has metering though.
Yeah.
And effects, but that's about it.
That's really it. So
Yeah.
really I have minimal control with this here. Now, I feel that I could make a pretty decent short film with this because it's going to shoot the resolution I need. The limitation is the control of the lighting because it has this auto. So I would have to take that off of auto first of all. Take my ISO off of auto and always have that correct. The exposure.
Oh, that's exposure. I forgot about that.
Well, ISO affects exposure. Exposure is just your overall lighting.
Mm-hmm.
They do have one button that's just kind of like your overall exposure value.
Okay.
So it brightens or darkens. But you don't want to make anything auto in filmmaking because it's going to do things without you realizing, oh, well, it got brighter, but it did it at the expense of shutter speed or ISO or whatever. You need to know exactly what it's doing it at the expense
So are
of.
you saying we have to go manual mode?
Manual is what you have to do. So listeners,
deep forest of the manual.
So I could do a movie with this. Now the other challenge is frame rates, right? I don't believe this goes off of anything other than 30 frames per second.
What is the name of your phone again? Like actually,
This is a Galaxy Core Prime.
Galaxy Core
Came out a few years ago.
Prime frame rate.
And it's one of the lower end phones. So at the same time, there was a better phone like the Galaxy S6, I believe. But the Galaxy Core Prime, for people who couldn't afford the S6, was basically available at a much lower price point.
Why don't you buy it? Actually, why don't you get a newer phone? You know what I'm asking?
Well, first of all, I'm never ever going to spend like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a phone. That's just never a habit that I ever picked up. The most I spent on the phone was $180.
Wow.
And even then, it was advertised as $99, but they make you buy a certain thing with it. So it's like, oh, you only spent $99 of this $180 on the phone. The rest is accessories. But anyways, it's because it's just not necessary. I don't need to do everything on the phone, although I support doing as much as you can on the phone. But I'm a laptop guy. I'm an editor. So there's a lot that I do with this and with the tablets and stuff. So as far as the phones, like, you know how I look at people who break their iPhone. It's like, fuck, I had to spend $1,200 on another phone. Or you could just buy one of these cheaper phones and try to take care of that, because you obviously can't take care of your phone, and it's a $1,200 phone, man.
Listen, that's another thing I want to talk about. So
The price of a phone.
the price of a phone is actually close to a price to some of the DSLR cameras, even SLR cameras now. I think new phones that come out are at least $1,000 now.
Yeah, they were doing this new thing. Well, they figured out after they sold that first iPhone for over $1,000, just like, these motherfuckers are gonna keep buying them. So you know what? Let's keep doing it. And then all the other companies go $1,200 phone at the first phone that came out.
Yeah.
Now after they saw they sold, it's like, we also have a $1,200 phone. If you want to spend $1,200 on a phone,
marketing. Go back on the price. It's not $800. We're putting it to $1,200.
it's $1,200. That's the new standard. You know what? It'll work if everybody's doing it. So
you could just, honestly, you could just wait 2 years and that would drop at least 50%. No.
We don't wait in this generation. We're not generation wait. We're generation now. No, we're generation yesterday. Exactly. Everything's late for us.
But you can't learn, it's just like I'm learning with anything else. You can't learn in a day. It takes time to learn something. Trial and error.
No. Just simplify it for us. Make it a button for me. Let me just press it. That's all I need to do is press something.
Let's talk about more pros with the phone, okay? We talked about some of the cons. Let's talk about some of the pros.
Pros are obviously going to be similar to the pros of when the DSLR came out. The DSLR was small. So you can go places and film, and people not really realize that you're filming.
Yeah.
So same thing, camera phone, small
phone.
Take it more places. Everyone's got one, so it's like constant. You're undercover.
Yeah.
All the time.
So no one knows what you're actually doing.
No one knows what you're actually doing.
When I take, I have a smaller. Actually, I have it with me. The A6000 Sony, and I also have the A772. It's a big one.
One thing I love about these Sony phones is a lot of them are mirrorless, and they're smaller than their Canon DSLR counterparts.
It's easy to transport.
Yeah.
A lot easier. Fits in your pocket.
Although I will say, these Canons still kick a lot of ass. So, and you don't spend a lot of money on them. Like, you can get this camera right here. Shot so much stuff on it. That's a T2i. T2i still competes with a lot of what's out there.
Really?
If you know how to use it well, yes. It's what we shot our last project on.
Oh.
It's what we have been doing everything on. And the next the T2 is basically the same sensor as T3, T4, T5. It's basically the same sensor. The only difference is the other ones can take pictures faster, and the other ones have autofocus better. They have a better computer in them, but the sensor is the same. You're going to get the same quality. The limitation is full HD, so obviously Sony, they like the 4K is their selling point.
You don't really need it though.
Most people don't need it, and most people don't really know how to use it properly anyway. So like if you want to do filmmaking at a low price, I would go Canon, and I would go either T2 or T3i.
I wish I knew that earlier.
Spend a couple $100, son, instead of a couple thousand, and you get so much out of that. Now, the other selling point of the Canon is you can put Magic Lantern on it. That basically unlocks all the possibilities of the actual hardware, and it is substantially different from just the consumer amount of production that you get out of the camera without Magic Lantern. So, but to get back on point with the camera phones, now it's a brave new world, right? I'm sure that there are going to be hacks and third-party softwares that you can put on the phone that are specifically for filmmaking. They should be coming around, but what's the difficulty is going to be is, there's Apple, there's Android. You got versions of both. And you basically, once people figure out like the base for Android, they can build on it. Then they can have a version for Android 8, a version for Android 9. And they've got, just like they have with Magic Lantern.
I would buy that. If they bought like a camera specifically for... They're probably not going to name it filmmaking. They'll probably name it something like social or media, like a media.
Probably
version.
name it filmmaking.
Or media. I don't think it'll be filmmaking. If we're looking from a corporate standpoint, it'll probably be like more media. Rather, they'll generalize it so they can sell it to a larger population rather than focus on just a specific group.
Oh well, I thought we're talking about filmmakers. So.
Oh right.
So.
But if we're going back, yes, I think in the future they'll have.
Well, they're already doing it though. So like on Instagram, they've got Instagram TV starting.
Yeah, I've seen that.
More and more people are realizing they can create content. They can be content creators. What's a content creator? A filmmaker, basically. You're filming something for people to watch, whether it's short, like it's a 99-second video, or if it's a 5-minute short film. Or some people will go even longer once they figure out that they're good at making them small. Why don't I just make it big? And then once they figure out they can actually sell it, everyone's going to try to do it. It doesn't have to be sold to people. It just has to be given to people, and they will blow it up. And then you name it whatever the hell you want it. Call it Blue Magic.
Blue Magic.
I just stole that from something. I stole it from American Gangster.
Oh my God.
Remember his drug was called Blue Magic. It's like, you call it blue whatever, put a chokehold on it. Anyways, yeah. So small, being able to take it everywhere is a big plus. I wish I could do that now. Like I wish I had a phone that gave me the same quality as the DSLR because it goes right in my pocket. I flip it out. Now I'm going to need to stabilize it. So that's a con.
Actually.
You sitting there waiting to bring it out. Tell people what we're looking at here.
Lollipop. Hold on a second. Is it going to turn on? I hope it's not dead.
And put it a little closer to the...
Dang it, it's dead.
It's dead? So that's a gimbal. It's what it is.
Yeah. It's supposed to... Dang, I got to charge this. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's dead. No, it shouldn't be dead. Hold on a second.
Always charge your equipment, people.
Oh.
Always be prepared.
Oh, that's why I had it the wrong way. Okay, we're good.
All right, show it closer to your camera. Like, bring it up closer. All right, so this is a gimbal. You tell people what it does.
It's a gimbal. It basically stabilizes your camera so that you can get smooth motion when it comes to taking videos. You can also, I'm trying to think a professional way of saying it, so I'm just going to say it the way I know it. You can also move it with, like, for instance, this thumb knob right here. So you can do like smooth motion scenes. I guess I forgot. I had down the names.
I had a version of that, and I put my my A7R2 on it. Yeah, it's legit. It's really good, and it's just basically a bigger version of that. But I like the thing where you can move it with the thumb.
Yeah, you can. You can move this. You can move this with the thumb.
Because it had that on there too. How much is that, by the way?
This is only $100.
That's $100?
Yeah, that's it. When I bought it, I'm not sure if it costs more now. But
what brand is that?
It's ZY Best. I got it from Best Buy.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so that's another thing we'll talk about. The cost is significantly lower. So like for instance, say for instance,
does it pan left and right?
You mean like I can?
Like, does it turn left and right?
I mean, you could do this.
Oh, okay. So it basically will only tilt up and down with the thumb, but it won't pan left and right with it.
You can. Let me do the mode. There's several. You could do.
Oh, it does pan. It does pan.
There's different modes. So on.
This sucker's panning.
This has different modes on it. If you notice on the controls, I'll show it right here. You'll see there are 2 brown buttons. One has a red dot in the middle. This comes with an app you can actually connect with your phone. This one, I like this one because it doesn't require you to use the app to still use it effectively. Others might. Excuse me. But there's different modes where this first one you can move the you can move the thumb. Oh, hold on. Oh, and the second one. Hold on. Let me go back to the first one. So in the first mode, you can actually move the gimbal up and down, or have the phone move up and down, so you can do a pan up and pan down.
Right.
And the second mode, which I believe is tap the button once, you can pan left to right and still move the camera up and down. Let me center it right here. Center it. And then the last mode, you can move it sideways, side to side.
Sure. It's twisty mode. Man, you know what? We're going to be pros at this. You know why? We've been playing video games for years. We're used to the sticks, the joysticks. We got this. It's on lock.
Hey, video games teach you an important skill, trial and error, because shoot,
exactly.
I'm dying on those video games left and right. But the cool thing also about this is at the bottom, if you notice,
it'll go onto a tripod too.
Yeah, you can put on a tripod, or you can add, for this, I actually I created a rig for it. Let me see if I can get it. Now, excuse the Rode mic. I dropped it and I broke it. But basically,
this is another big part of the whole filmmaking with the phone thing, because it's like they do have these rigs where they look just like the ones for DSLRs, except a phone goes to where the camera would go.
Right. Exactly. And the only thing is people, they show, you'll see pictures on like Amazon of people using it a certain way, but I think you have to really know, hold on a second. You have to really know, oh cool, reset. You have to really know, like a lot of the things you use in filmmaking, you actually use with the stuff with the phone. So for instance, what I'm putting on is it's L arm, right? Yeah, L arm. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to show you, I think that's going to the side, is say if you're doing, like I do events, so I need something mobile. Again, excuse the Rode mic, I need to get a new one.
That's all right.
Now, the only thing is, so for this, I have an L arm, I have a Rode mic, and I have the gimbal. Let me change the settings. Okay. So what I would usually do is, when you get a Rode mic, originally, the cord, I forgot the exact name, but the cord is meant for DSLR cameras, SLR cameras.
Right. It's 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Well, it's the same jack, except when you plug it into the phone, it doesn't work.
Right.
So you have to get one that specifically works with the phone.
You don't.
No.
So here's what I do. All right.
to me.
So that's the first obstacle where you want to get professional sound onto the video, right?
Correct.
So I've actually been exploring the equivalent of filmmaking with a phone with audio. And it's like audio either with your phone or with your tablet, right?
Talk to me. Yeah.
So I found this program, and it's basically called Field Recorder.
Field Recorder.
Yes. And that's basically what the device that you see me with sometimes is. It's a field recorder. It's basically like a mobile version of this. And what you do is, let me pull it up real quick. Is it? Where is my app? There we go. So field recorder, and I have this on an Android right now. Basically, these are the same functions that I have on my recorder, either my recorder or my preamp, right? So in order for me to get that 3.5 in there, I can plug it in there, but it's expecting either a mic or a headphone or a mixture of the two. The thing that you got to pay attention to is on the tip of your 3.5 millimeter, you will see a number of these sleeves.
Yes.
You have two if it's usually just like a just something that you listen to.
Oh, the one I had. So actually, I have the other one here with me. So maybe we can actually learn something. I can actually learn something today.
But let me finish explaining.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you'll notice sometimes it has 3 for certain headphones, and that means that it has a mic function on there too. So when you plug it into a phone, the phone knows, okay, well, it can put audio out, but also it can take audio in with the mic part. Now, it doesn't work a lot of times with phones or tablets. So what I do, I have a, give me 1 second. You got to get yourself one of these.
What is that?
Take a look.
I'm lost.
That is a micro USB.
Okay.
So it goes to the charging part of the phone to USB port.
Okay.
Okay. Now, sometimes you have a USB-C, so they have the other version too. But basically, look down here at how this audio is going into the computer. 3.5 millimeter going into one of these devices here. So basically, you need this part first, which goes from your phone. It basically turns the port of your phone to a USB port. Then you need a USB to 3.5 millimeter jack, or sound card is what they call it. But basically, it allows you to plug in a 3.5 millimeter mic into your USB port, or plug in your headphone jack, which is also 3.5 millimeter, into your USB port, except it goes into your phone. Now, most Android phones recognize that that's what that device is. So when I plug this into my field recorder app, and I've tried this on my phone too, now all I need is the other piece that will let me connect in the microphone. So then it'll pick up the microphone, the good audio, send it right into my phone as I'm recording my video. And I could also monitor the audio if I want, because right next to that mic input is a headphone input. So you can put a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Although what I do is I just use the USB or the Bluetooth and connect directly to the device wirelessly. That way I have a little more range of motion. So I've been testing this out for the last 2 weeks, and it works great, like a charm. The only weakness is you need a good mic that will connect with a 3.5 millimeter jack. So a lot of us used XLR, so you might want to get one of those XLR to 3.5 millimeter jack ports, but you got to make sure your mic either has its own power source, so it has its own phantom power, or it doesn't need it, because it basically, you can't, the device will not power the mic. So the phone or tablet will not power the mic. So when it comes to getting that Rode mic into your phone, you need this here, because if I'm not mistaken, the S7 is still using the micro USB port. So would that plug into your power port? Just looking at it.
Yeah, so plug in there.
Okay, so it goes into your power port. Then you just need that device to plug in there, because now it's basically like a computer USB. You plug that in, it will know that that's a mic, and then it will grab the audio.
Now, why are you saying I shouldn't directly plug the Rode mic into the phone?
No, I'm saying that's the only way you can.
No, that's what I was going to show you. You can.
Right.
This actually works.
Well, no, I am saying that. I'm saying you should not plug it directly into the phone.
That's what you're saying. Okay,
yes.
Got you.
Yes. For me, it's a necessity, because I need to be able to hear what I'm recording.
Got it.
So it will only let you use one of two functions, either mic function, which means audio is going in, or the audio auxiliary function, which means audio is coming out and you hear it like a headphone. But when you have a interface, a USB, and then put the sound card in there, it'll let you do both at the same time. So if you want to know if your audio is clipping or not, and that way you can hear what you're recording, you would use this, because that way it will definitely work. It will take it as a mic, but then it'll also let you listen to it either with that other jack there, or with a USB headphone set.
Okay.
So have you successfully connected it to the phone in the past, and did it grab the audio from the mic?
Well, here's the thing. The original cord that it comes with, no. There's a separate cord where you can buy, and it can directly connect to the phone.
So that's that's the original?
This is the original, yes.
Let me see it real quick. It's got 2 sleeves on it. Okay.
This is the one that connects to the phone.
Okay, this one has 3 sleeves on it.
Yes.
I noticed that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big factor when it comes to going to a phone.
Mm-hmm.
3 on one, 2 on the other.
So the 2 go into the Rode mic and the 3 go into the phone.
Mm-hmm. So have you had any issues with it when you use this?
Yes. The issue I face is there's like a zipping noise. So what I would have to do is I'd have to turn on airplane mode. I think it has something to do with the connection, the networking connection.
So there's a like a humming.
It's actually, I can actually do it right now. Hold on. I can show you right now. It's like a zipping noise. It goes in and out. So let me just go ahead and record this. Oh, Jesus. I'm on pro mode and 1/6 a second. Right now, everything's blown out. Put that right here. All right.
1/60 of a second is shutter speed.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that.
19 minutes left, just let you know.
Oh, shoot. Okay, let me go ahead and just record it. Hey, what's going on? Recording.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Dog face. Oh. Let me see if it'll do it. When you do listen to it, you have to take it out because it won't.
Right, it'll play back on the speaker of the phone.
Yeah. So let me go and turn the audio up. Turn the video all the way up.
DJ, turn that beat up.
So. Oh, didn't. Okay, just I guess didn't do it.
Maybe it needs more time, and it'll
Yeah, it'll do
happen.
it that way. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is something with the network interference. I believe with the phone. I guess it picks it up with the Rode mic, and then there's something in the background. So if I do this, because most of the time when I do videos on my phone, I'm not recording audio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually recording something like a music in the background, and I'm recording anything that usually requires audio. I put it on airplane mode and then I record. But this whole setup, I believe the Rode mic is, the gimbal is $100. The L arm is probably around $20. I forgot how much they cost.
They're cheap. They're dirt cheap.
The Rode mic is $35 to $45. So all in all, it's about around $150-ish. Yeah, $150-ish.
I'm just impressed with the price of the gimbal. So basically, if you're
please
going,
elaborate on that because I was surprised too when I saw that, so I bought it immediately.
well, I'll just suffice to say the bigger ones for the cameras cost more.
It costs a lens basically.
So basically, once you're able to actually record something, you got your camera's working, you got good audio going into it. It's pretty much the same process from there to editing. As far as, okay, so you've got a MP4 file, most likely, or what files does your phone make?
For the phone, I have to look at it.
But anyway, let's assume
MP4, you're right.
MP4 is probably the easiest to work with.
It's not an iPhone,
So myself, I would probably just take those as if I took them off the card of my camera and edit them. But let's say you want to edit on your phone. I have less experience with editing on a phone. So when we said making films on your phone, I thought we were just talking about shooting it on your phone.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, so there's ways you can edit.
Oh my gosh, brother.
I'm sorry about this.
We gotta set like a napkin on the table for you next time?
I think we do. I think we can actually, so we can actually cancel out the noise.
There's a method to this, brother.
My bad.
It's okay.
But
Is there a program that you like?
The ones I use, again, I'm not as deep into it as you, but the one I mostly use, let me look.
By the way, I would not recommend editing on your phone. It's just not necessary. Shooting is one thing. The benefits of shooting something on your phone, it's one thing. But editing on your phone, it's just kind of lazy at this point.
I would say, again, we'll talk about this will be more so mobile filmmaking to the extreme. We'll focus on that. But yes, I would also suggest editing on the computer because you you can actually blow it up and see what it actually looks like and see the quality instead of seeing just on a small screen. Even when I shoot my job, when I take pictures of cars, it looks different sometimes on the small LCD screen on your camera than on the computer because you can see everything.
Right.
But the one I mostly use, and actually I bought this, is it's called Android Vid. And the reason I got it because you can add music to it, you can cut it. There's a lot of options here. Slow motion. I mean, you can add pictures to the video. It's not Premiere Pro by no means.
Right.
But for just simple video editing, it fulfills my needs. Similar to
sometimes you don't want Premiere Pro. Sometimes you do want like iMovie or something that's just simplified for you. Especially if you're new to this, and a lot of people who are going to be shooting on their phones are going to be new to this. Maybe they need a simple program to use on their phone. That's why this is also another reason why I say you should get the best phone that you can possibly get if you're going to do it, because it's going to give you more RAM, more cores for the computer to work faster, and I would say try to keep it short.
Correct. Yes. That's why I think a lot of this stuff. Right now, if you're trying to take filmmaking serious, it's good practice, but I'd say mostly for social media, the social media videos, stuff like that. Like
on that subject. Sorry, I know exactly where you're going with that.
Yeah.
On that subject, what do you feel like is the best genres genres to do if you're gonna do anything on a phone?
What best genres to do?
Yeah.
Something that's not going to be critiqued, so lifestyle, so not as much. Something more realistic, gritty. Nothing that requires. Nothing's not an extreme of cinematography. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with the gritty part of it, and specifically, I would do found footage on a phone.
Oh, yeah. I remember we talked about that. Yeah.
I think found footage is like one of the perfect genres to do on your phone. That and maybe documentary, because a lot of phones will only give you the 30 or 60 frames per second, and that's basically the fluidity of documentaries or news or something like that. So one of those two. If you go with the first option with found footage, what you can do is you can always add the grain to it, right? And make it look like it's shot on VHS or on actual tape. But I think the idea of shooting on a phone is a new thing. So it's like you can shoot I think there's a movie. Were there any movies that have been made that are supposed to be shot on a completely on a phone?
I remember it was an iPhone. Hold on.
They were made to look like they were shot on a phone.
No, it was actually shot on a phone with a very expensive Cine lens.
Right.
I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Is that the Tangerine movie?
I think it is. Because I was like, because I saw it, I was like, wait a second. Because I read the article, I was like, wait, I know they did not just use just a phone. And if you look at it, I'm trying to see if I can find the picture. You see the phone, and then the lens is like all the way extended out there. I was like, knew it, because when you first get into this, you start to realize that
no, the phone by itself it's different from having that giant ass expensive ass lens on it.
You can't get the same quality.
Different image, yeah.
But so there's a couple. There's Tangerine was one of them.
The entire movie was shot on a phone?
Let's see. I believe so. Skim me through the article. You can continue.
Okay. But I was going to say, like, as far as, like, shooting found footage on a phone, which I'm absolutely going to do one day, I think it just makes sense that people shoot things on phones. So when you make a found footage movie, the whole idea about it is that it was something that was found as footage on a recording device, and that traditionally has been like a video camera. There's always been some excuse or reason for that person to have a video camera through the whole experience, like a wedding or. Remember Cloverfield? The guy was going around recording because they were getting ready for.
That was a good movie. I like it.
Yeah, I like Cloverfield too, and the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
They always had an excuse for having the camera there. Now you need less of an excuse because you have phones.
It's true.
Everyone has phones all the time, so it's like it's going to be a little bit of a different expectation with how long the camera runs and when people pull out their phones and things like that. But I think it's going to be, I think it makes sense that things are shot on a phone, and it doesn't have to be the best quality phone. That's another thing, because a lot of people have different quality of phones. So I would probably shoot it on, I've got another phone called the Z Max Pro, which will give me better resolution, but I would probably shoot it on that. It's an inexpensive phone. And I've already done certain things. Like what happened was basically I can record my screen on that phone. So I would open the camera, and it like looks like a camera. I would look around, and then it's like I recorded myself just kind of walking to the bus stop, and then like a phone call came in, and you see it on the screen, and it's like you could clearly see me touch the answer.
Wait, how'd you do that? How'd you do that again?
Well, it's basically just recording. Like when you have your camera on your phone, you're still going to get a phone call. Right, so when you're recording, how did you record?
You should record the screen.
Yeah, there's a screen. There are screen recording apps.
Oh, okay. So I know what you're talking about. So you screen recorded, and you basically videotaped yourself. You put the camera on yourself.
So I basically turn the recorder on. It just looks like your desktop on your phone. Hit the camera app. It opens. So it's like you can see what the person is seeing now.
Right.
So it's like I basically made it like you're walking as me. Right. And then the phone call came in. You hear me talk to somebody. You see me get on a bus. Right. So what I do is I close the phone app, open the Maps app, and you can see the bus moving in real time from one location while I'm still on the phone with somebody. So it's kind of like you switch from viewing it as me to...
Why did you create a movie into that? Did you create a video? Did you post it?
I did make the... I think I have it on my hard drive somewhere.
I would love... if
you want to see it?
Yeah, I want to see it.
Kind of cool.
I'm curious. I mean, you caught me with how you recorded it, and also with... I'm interested, like, what was the phone conversation about, where you're going, so many questions.
Yeah, you can see me going. I was talking about where I was going, and you could see like Google Maps, like the little dot is you moving towards wherever it is. And then the other thing is you can also turn on the selfie camera at the same time. So when that switched over to the map, I had the other thing switched, so you can kind of see me just kind of looking out the window, talking, looking, I'm going to the cemetery or whatever, I saw the spot or whatever. I was probably having a film-related conversation, but anyways, it's a really cool thing that you can do on phones that they do it sometimes in storytelling. Like they'll show you the map in Doom or whatever, like just to show you where the people are going and stuff. But you can do that on your phone too now.
But I don't think you realize how incredible it is, because I think about it, as a filmmaker, if you're trying to show a particular scene of where they're going, make it more like a found footage type, and you can actually do that with a phone. Then rather than recording it on the screen, because I don't think you really have to, because you just record on your phone, you can simply just put that footage into that section. Yes. Yeah. And the conversation.
I do realize how awesome it is. That's why I brought it up. And you can speed that part up to make it look like you're moving faster in time. Yeah. So it's really cool, man.
You don't have to use any graphics or anything. Just use Google Maps.
Exactly. And you're so forgiving when they know it's found footage, because it's like it's
meant to be gritty. It's meant to be. Yeah.
Nobody knew we were going to be recorded. That's kind of the idea behind it. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of my favorite genres anyway too. But overall, the whole process, I mean, once you get a phone that has a camera app, you have a microphone that you can get that into the phone, you're going to spend $4 on that little cord that I was talking about, the little power port to USB port. You're going to spend $4 on that on eBay or Amazon. And then the other thing, you're going to spend $4 on the other thing too, the sound card, or just type in USB to 3.5 millimeter, and you have those, and now you can connect your expensive microphone, which gives you good sound, to your phone or tablet, because tablets can record them too, and then you get the good sound on your video. So now you're just making these files, and you can either edit them on your computer, or you can edit them on the device. I would edit on the computer.
Okay.
How do you get those files from one device to the other? I have a method that...
I'm listening. That's probably the last part we haven't talked about, but go ahead, since we got some...
The simplified version is I use an app called Resilio Sync. I have several computers at home.
You should write a blog.
I have several computers at home that have like these hard drives. Yeah. They have all this footage, right? I keep them in sync with Resilio Sync. And basically, it just makes sure if I add these files on this computer, it syncs them over to the other drives. That's how I back them up, too.
so you don't have to do it manually.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's automatic. It's unlimited. It's free. You can do as many folders as you want. They can be in different locations on the computer. It can also go on your phone too, which means it can go on a tablet because tablets are also Android or Mac, right? So Resilio Sync has a phone version. So I have a folder on the phone where whenever I take a video or whatever, it goes directly to the hard drive. So whenever you record your short film, video, whatever, you have that folder specified. So every time all your files get put into that folder, it goes to your computer. No need to connect a cord. No need to find an app. Just find Resilio Sync.
Okay.
Resilio Sync. You can feel free to send me some promotional dollars there. But yeah, that's what I would do. It's been very reliable and hasn't stopped working yet. They used to be called BitTorrent Sync. This is basically the same app. They just rebranded it.
Makes sense.
So we got 5 minutes left.
Any upcoming news or anything about that?
Yeah, by the way, I want to get more into this subject, so we can probably do like another show, part 2.
I'm going to actually shoot.
After we try it.
I'm probably going to shoot it. I'm actually going to try. I'm going to try to shoot, because I've been meaning to shoot more photography and videos, and I haven't done so in a while, because of the new job and everything. But I'm spending it seems like an entire day with my girlfriend's dog, so I might just do like a little short film on him. Might take him to the park.
Oh, that's
stuff
cute.
like that.
What kind of dog is it, by the way?
It's like a small. It's like a mutt, but it looks like a small Jack Russell. Very energetic. Jumps up like on top of the couch. So like the couch has the top part. It's near a wall.
Right.
He jumps on like the sitting area. Then he jumps on top of the couch, lays there, and goes to sleep. He's like a
little tiny dog.
Yeah,
I got you. Well, that's very, very cute. Dogs.
But so what would you like to talk about for next week?
Next week, what do we got next week? We're looking at scheduling the acting class again. It's another weekday class. So we switched over from weekends to weekdays recently. We're still going to have weekends whenever we have a teacher available, but my classes have now become weekdays, either Thursday or Friday, because my off days changed. Tim is going to be teaching next Thursday, I believe. The 13th. Is that Thursday or Friday?
I think it's a Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Yeah, so our people still have to confirm it with Tim, but he told us he was available that day. So it's going to be Thursday, and let me see what the time was supposed to be. A little sleepy there?
Nah, a little bit.
A little bit
insomnia.
A little drowsy. What's up with that insomnia thing? I saw that post.
Oh yeah, I'm fixing it. I haven't been sleeping. I don't know why.
All right. Well, if you're taking sleeping pills, remember Heath Ledger. Take it. Slow down. Don't take 8 at one time.
Don't turn the Joker.
Don't turn the Joker. What do you think it is? What do you think is causing your?
I don't know. Honestly, I think I triggered something after I spent all day just looking at my phone because I don't know why, but I spent all day looking at my phone all at night, and I like take naps here and there, and I think I reset something to where I lay in bed. My mind still, it's like your body is resting, like when you wake up quotations the next day, but you can tell your mind didn't rest. You didn't have that.
Right.
You don't like how you feel when you wake up the next day.
Your mind's it's still on when you want to go to sleep, but but the thing is, you probably are messing up your sleep pattern.
I did. It's not. Possibly, I did.
You fucked up your sleep pattern, so you're not getting your REM sleep. Is what's happening.
Correct. So I'm trying to fix it. I've looked up some things. Reddit's a godsend. Thank you.
Dude, have you seen, I saw a Joe Rogan podcast where he had the sleep expert on, and he has a long form podcast. So he got into deep about like insomnia and things like that.
I guess
I
listened to that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You did?
I need to start.
Oh, okay.
I heard you're like this second or third person that's mentioned that podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. That guy that's where I learned like adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
Really?
And yeah. If you want to be at your best, yeah. That's not a bad thing. And he was talking about like your more productive hours versus the hours where you need sleep and are not getting it. You're going to get more mental performance, and you will learn faster if you get your sleep, because it gives your brain he broke down like there's a part of sleep where your brain fixes the things that you had trouble understanding the day before. So people who get a full night's sleep are basically immediately better at something that they were failing at the day before. And it's like, oh, well, you just need to rest. Well, your brain knows how to rewire things. Like, it kind of keeps a catalog of things that you messed up today, and it tries to fix them while you're asleep. So he was like going into that and certain theories about it, but it was very awesome because he was telling people, this is what you should do. It's basically the most performance enhancing thing you can do is sleep and drink water. Here's the time. Here we go. Let me see. December 13th. Wait, that's the automated one. Here we go. Thanks so much. So the class is going to be, please make sure you find the confirmation, the event online, because if Tim decides he doesn't want to do it, then we got to change that. But as of right now, it's going to be December 13th from 3 to 5:30 at Seminole Heights Branch Library. That's this one. It's going to be in room 105 on the first floor. Community room. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Yeah. Big one near the stairs.
So I think I will be there too. So I'll probably just be there to record the class. But acting class with Tim Guerreri. He's an awesome teacher. So check it out. December 13th. That is that a Thursday or Friday?
It's Thursday. Yeah.
I didn't get it later. Okay, it is Thursday. So it's gonna be next Thursday, or this Thursday coming up. All right. Well, that's that. And for everything else, just go on to Facebook or Tampa Film Network. .org and check out what we got coming up next. We're going to be posting the events for acting class, but also the other stuff too, because we're going to have a meeting for the camera folks. We're going to have a meeting for the director's team and the writer's team. So keep an eye out. Join the Tampa Film Network on Facebook, the group, and that's where you'll find out everything. And then we've got the smaller groups for the specific program. So if you're the camera team, they've got their group. The writer's team's got their group. The acting team's got theirs. Everyone's got theirs. We've got ours, the podcast team. So that's how it kind of works. But other than that, I don't have anything else today. You got anything else?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, what are you doing for Christmas?
Christmas, I'm going to just be a Grinch and just be happy that everyone else has their Christmas and not bothering me.
You know what? I'll celebrate Christmas with you the next. My family's coming down, but you know what? I'll celebrate Christmas with you the next day if you want to. I'm serious.
Okay, we'll talk.
I'll get you a present. I can't get you a camera or anything. Filmmaking's a little expensive, but I can get you
a
card.
Give me nothing. Don't give me
with
nothing.
A smiley face on it.
Don't give me nothing. Just be you. But yeah, that's all I got. And yeah, Christmas is on the way, folks. So ho ho ho, Merry Christmas to you. If I don't see you before now and then. And as always, follow Tampa Film Network on Instagram at Tampa Film Network, on Twitter at Tampa Film Network, on YouTube. Type in Tampa Film Network, find it there. Subscribe, comment, like, and I will see you next time. I'm TJ. I am your co-host, and this is
Kamari. I am your co-host as well.
He's the regular host, but whatever. All right, you guys. Ciao, and happy 2019 on the way.